Meng Qingshan, who was over 50 years old and alone, was reborn in the 1980s at the age of 17 due to a shipwreck. Remembering the saying from a past life. As long as you stand in the wind, a pig can fly. In the days after his rebirth, Meng Qingshan began to work hard to earn money, wanting to do his best to send himself to the wind when the wind rose. He wants to fly with those big shots who will start to emerge in a decade, and later become well-known, riding that east wind. Unexpectedly, while he was working hard to make money, he suddenly discovered a vortex with increasing wind power behind him. I used to be the wind of this life. So Meng Qingshan no longer only focused on making money by burying himself, but rather searching for the rough jade waiting to be carved throughout China. What he wants to help is not limited to the well-known old horses, small horses, and a group of talented people in his past life. Whenever he sees a guy running as fast as 4 legs, Meng Qingshan will go over and pull them out for a walk. Keywords of the novel. Rebirth. The pig that makes the wind has no pop-ups. Rebirth. The pig that makes the wind. Download the complete set of TXT, Rebirth. The pig that makes the wind. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. The pig who wants to become the wind. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The pig who wants to become the wind. Looking at the unfamiliar and familiar young faces around him, Meng Qingshan's mind was blank. It is said that when a person dies, they can look back on their life in a very short time. Is this the experience of recalling their life when they are on the brink of death? A few minutes later, Meng Qingshan felt something was wrong. Why has it been so long, still stuck in my high school years? Shouldn't it be like a movie being released quickly, in just a few decades? No wonder Meng Qingshan is like a fool, unable to figure out the situation in front of him. But he vividly remembers that the moment before, he, the chief engineer who had been at sea for decades and had extensive experience in repairing the power systems of large ships, sank into the seabed together with the 100,000-ton ship, which was torn in two by huge waves. Is it true that I have been reborn as described in the novel? While the classmates around were all reading seriously or afraid of disturbing others, they quietly discussed the difficulties they encountered, and no one paid attention to them. Meng Qingshan secretly pinched himself. Pain. It really hurts. The piercing pain quickly made him realize that this was not illusory, and indeed he had returned to his foolish 17-year-old, 1987, when he was still in his 3rd year of high school. If one doesn't act foolish, they will pinch the outside of their thighs instead of using so much force to pinch the inside of their thighs. Such a two-coin operation can only be done by my own foolish high school years. Quickly packed his books, put them into his green canvas military backpack, limped and asked his class monitor Chen Xiaohua for leave, saying that he felt unwell and had to go home. The teachers in the 3rd year of high school have already tacitly focused on the learning of the students in the class. As long as you don't affect the learning of ambitious students, other teachers no longer care much. After all, there are only a few students who can be admitted to college, and forcing students who are clearly not in the college entrance exam will only add chaos to the class. Meng Qingshan's studies are not bad, and he is a good student who has a good chance of being admitted to university in this county's high school. So class monitor Chen Xiaohua didn't ask why Meng Qingshan had to go home just after finishing the first class this morning. Agree directly and indicate that they will explain the situation to the teacher. Meng Qingshan's county high school is about 10 miles away from the small fishing village where his family is located. It's already 11 o'clock when I got home, and my sister-in-law Li Hui is busy making lunch in the kitchen. Li Hui was surprised to see her uncle suddenly come home and quickly asked if there was any discomfort in his body. Meng Qingshan quickly explained that he was fine, just thinking of something and wanting to discuss it with his sister-in-law during lunch. Meng Qingshan has great respect for his sister-in-law Li Hui. His parents passed away several years ago, leaving only him and his brother Meng Qingshan in the family. His sister-in-law, Li Hui, married his brother last year. After marrying her own brother, Li Hui worked tirelessly and raised her nieces and nephews. She treated her uncle like a younger brother and always kept a share of what was good for him. In his past life, although his brother's family did not have great wealth, they were still considered a well-off family and did not worry about food and clothing. Among them, Li Hui, the sister. In-law, definitely accounts for a large portion of the credit. At lunchtime, his elder brother Meng Qingshan returned home. While the family was having dinner together, Meng Qingshan shared his thoughts with his sister-in-law. On the 10-mile journey back from school, Meng Qingshan had already figured out the path he would take after his rebirth. Although it has been several years since the reform and opening up, most people have not yet fully turned the corner, and many still want to work for state-owned enterprises to secure a secure job. Coastal fishermen, on the other hand, have individuals or partnerships or loans to buy motorized fishing boats with higher horsepower that can be used for fishing in the open sea. It's hard to say that the country's policy of supporting the people to become rich in the first 2 years was very strong. Those young entrepreneurs who started their own businesses decades later, who would dare to think that bank staff would chase after you every day to work and get you a loan, with interest-free payments. However, people at this time are simple and conservative, worried that they might lose money and not be able to repay the country. Unfortunately, there are not many people with lively minds and great courage, and there are very few fishermen who have the courage to take out loans and buy good fishing boats to go fishing. Most coastal fishermen are still using the small sampans used by their ancestors, which can only be used for fishing in the nearshore. So now the fishing resources in the distant seas around the mainland are relatively abundant, and the scarcity of fishing resources only emerged 10 years later. Meng Qingshan had always thought that his family's first bucket of gold would start from the fishing industry. After all, his ancestors were all fishermen. And now it is 80.7 years, let alone the internet era that can blow pigs into the sky, even if it is still 70 or 80 years away from the golden age of the rise of real estate. What I need to do now is to keep up with the pace of the times, do business as soon as possible to earn my starting capital, and in the future, I will run the wind and be blown up by the wind with the guys like Lao Ma and Xiao Ma. After spending the whole afternoon, Meng Qingshan explained to his elder brother and sister-in-law why he hoped his family would smash pots and sell iron to get a motorized fishing boat to go out to sea to catch fish. Meng Qingshan told his sister-in-law that according to their safe thinking, when they save enough money to buy a boat, about half of the fishermen along the coast of China can also afford small fishing boats. At that time, there will be more monks than porridge, and they will not earn much money. Only when they get ahead of most people can they earn money. After an afternoon of explanation and persuasion, my elder brother and sister-in-law finally agreed to withdraw all their savings and then go to the bank to borrow money to buy a fishing boat that can run to a farther sea area to catch fish. On his sister-in-law's side, Meng Qingshan asked her to take her mother and rent a stall to operate in the seafood wholesale market together. Because in his past life, his own married aunt, who was also the mother of his sister-in-law, gritted her teeth and paid to rent a stall in the seafood market after 1990. Later, the old couple earned a lot of hard money with that seafood stall. My sister-in-law has 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother, and the starting capital for doing business was earned by my aunt-in-law through years of hard work. Moreover, the older brother and younger brother of my sister-in-law's family are very kind to my sister-in-law's family, and they have reached out to help with major and minor matters. Although my elder brother and sister-in-law reached out to help their brothers before they became wealthy, at least they did not forget their kindness after they became wealthy. Since I have used someone else's financial resources in advance, let's take their family and make money together. Besides, my past life has proven that this family is good. Meng Qingshan's explanation to his brother and sister-in-law is also very simple. The catch that his brother set sail is handed over to his sister-in-law for wholesale sales in the market, maximizing profits. And when the weather is bad, my brother doesn't have to take the risk of going out to sea to fish. Just help my sister.in.law take care of the stall. As for the stalls in the seafood market that Aunt Een currently cannot afford to invest much money in, it's even simpler. Just act as a filial piety to the elderly and give half of the shares in the seafood stalls to the elderly couple. Besides, it won't be long before my elder brother and sister.in.law have children. My sister.in.law's family happens to have many people, so I can go to the market to help. Meng Qingshan's afternoon was not in vain, and his sister.in.law and elder brother Meng Qingshan were finally moved and gritted their teeth in agreement with his idea. My sister.in.law even asked my brother to ride a bicycle and take her back to her mother's house to talk about it. After a few minutes of silence, Li Qingshan, the father.in.law of the elder brother, said to his sister.in.law's mother. If the child is willing to help us, you can work with your daughter. Even if it's your own daughter, we can't just get the benefits for nothing. When I have free time in the future, I will go out to sea with my son.in.law to help him catch fish. After the matter was settled, the two families became busy. Meng Qingshan and his wife Li Hui withdrew the 5,000 yuan they had saved at home and rented a stall at the seafood wholesale market. Then Li Hui and her mother began to explore and run to the dock to purchase the catch, and then brought it to the market for sale. Although the little money left in hand cannot buy any expensive seafood, fishermen who live by the seaside all year round know what fish are good to sell and what people like to eat. So, sister.in.law Li Hui's seafood stall started running smoothly a week later. Not to mention, the profits are really good. Although it's harder than those who work, the speed of making money is also faster than those who flatter them. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Power Solution for Accidental Leakage Fishing Boats. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Power Solution for Accidental Leakage Fishing Boats. Not long after my sister.in.law and aunt-in-law's seafood stall got back on track, my older brother's application for a loan also became apparent. At this point, although it has already passed the period when the bank is chasing people to take out loans without interest. However, the government's efforts to support the people, encourage them to develop their own small industries, and revitalize the local economy are still significant. Brother Meng Qingshan's loan was quickly approved. 20,000 yuan, and the interest is very low. This kind of loan situation, when applied to young people who want to start a business in decades, is likely to wake them up from their dreams with a smile. At this time, Meng Qingshan also returned to school and worked hard to review his homework. Before leaving, Meng Qingshan told his brother that buying a boat didn't matter, but as long as he bought the engine on the boat, he must call himself in. If he wasn't there, he couldn't buy it and had to wait until he had seen it before. Although Meng Qingshan, the elder brother, did not know the reason for his younger brother's request, this incident was facilitated by his own brother's efforts. And from this incident, Meng Qingshan also realized that his younger brother had suddenly grown up and was no longer the little kid who used to have to make his own decisions about everything. Meng Qingshan is still very happy about his younger brother's changes. It's a good thing that his younger brother has made a name for himself, and besides, he doesn't really understand machines. Now there are only two brothers left in the old Meng family. Since my younger brother must make an idea, let him take it. One day, Meng Qingshan was doing exercises in the classroom when suddenly his older brother came to the school to find him. After calling him out of the classroom, he told him that he had previously asked someone to buy cheap machines. This time, there was news that he would go to see the goods together tomorrow. Meng Qingshan immediately said that he would take a day off and go to see the machines together the next day. Meng Qingshan was afraid of delaying his younger brother's studies. Meng Qingshan smiled and said, "Brother, this third year of high school is basically just reviewing what I learned before. It won't delay, and if I can handle this tomorrow, it will also cause me a lot of trouble." Meng Qingshan went smoothly to ask for leave from his homeroom teacher. The homeroom teacher, Teacher Zhang, only reminded him that there were still a few months left before the college entrance examination. He was very hopeful not to relax, so he was granted the next day's leave. The next morning, Meng Qingshan followed his brother by car to the outskirts of the city several tens of miles away and arrived at a repair shop with various machines piled up in the yard. My brother told Meng Qingshan that this repair shop was run by his friends and relatives. In the past, he relied solely on helping people repair machines to make money. In the past 2 years, he has secretly brought in some foreign substandard old machines for refurbishment and sales from outside. With this, he has made a lot of money in the past 2 years. The one who came out to receive the two brothers was the boss here, who was the relative and cousin of Meng Qingshan's friend. This person is in his 30s, about 1.8 meters tall, very burly. It is rare for southerners of this size to see them in their 80s. Although this person has a face full of flesh and a body shape that gives people a sense of pressure, looking at the crevices between his hands, there are oil stains that cannot be completely cleaned. Meng Qingshan knew that this person was a technician who repaired machines. Even if they were to sell cheap and refurbished machines, they probably relied on their skills to make a living, not to deceive others. As for the matter of making money by refurbishing counterfeit goods, Meng Qingshan didn't care at all. In the mid-1990s, even in inland cities, the streets were filled with refurbished counterfeit motorcycles, which belonged to the imprint of the times and were beyond his control. What he needs now is to get a reliable engine and install it on the ship his brother will buy in the future. After all, my older brother is going fishing in the open sea, and if the engine is not reliable and leaves a fault in the open sea, it will be a big deal. The person was very enthusiastic about the Meng Qingshan brothers and told them his name was Chen Wei. Then he patted his chest and said that his cousin's friend was his friend. He was interested in the lowest price of any machine. Meng Qingshan followed his brother and the enthusiastic cousin boss into a warehouse, where there were about 10 refurbished water cargo machines on shelves. Unfortunately, even for refurbished machines, the cheapest 15 horsepower island country refurbished machine costs over 10,000 yuan. This puts Meng Qingshan in a difficult position. He only has a few thousand yuan left after buying this machine, so he can't buy a decent fishing boat. He also has to buy fishing nets and other fishing equipment, leaving some fuel money behind. When Meng Qingshan looked around, he found a 75 horsepower island machine covered in dust in the corner of the warehouse. So he asked, "That machine looks good, why does it seem like it hasn't been moved for a long time?" Chen Wei's smiling face immediately showed an indescribable awkwardness. Speaking of which, my older brother has caused a great deal of embarrassment and loss. I originally wanted to pick up the leak with this machine. This is a new model that has just been developed for a few years. If you buy a new one, you can get tens of thousands of dollars, which is not yet available in China. At that time, the origin of this machine was probably too sinister, and the previous owner was in a hurry to sell it, asking for a very low price. Brother thought he couldn't find any trouble after crossing the sea, so he spent 10,000 yuan to get it. I thought it was simple at first. I thought it would be the same as before, just spend some money to buy accessories, and with a little more effort, I could fix it. This new type of machine, as long as it can be adjusted properly, even if it costs an additional 30,000 to 50,000 yuan, there are still some people rushing to get it. After getting it back, there were no other troubles, but when we turned on the machine, everyone was dumbfounded, not to mention fixing it. None of us have seen this kind of machine before, and we can't fix it. We can only screw it on and throw it away to eat dust. This thing can be considered a smash. It's okay if this type of machine is available for sale in China. It's been over a year since we got it together, and I haven't seen anyone have a second one yet. I can't even sell the special parts after dismantling them. Sigh, I've lost all the money. Turning to see Meng Qingshan still staring at the machine, he quickly said. "What's wrong, little brother? Do you want to take it back for research? If you want it, it won't be 10,000 anymore. 8,000, no, 7,000. Brother gave it to you." After listening to Chen Wei's words, Meng Qingshan didn't say much either. He went directly to take a cardboard open on the machine and carefully studied it. The screws on the machine casing are loose, so I twisted them a few times by hand and pulled them out. I took out the casing and looked at it. What Chen Wei said should be true. They only opened the outer shell and couldn't control it when they saw it inside. They didn't touch the machines inside, and everything inside was still the same as when it left the factory. I took a preliminary look at several key areas and confirmed that this thing is definitely not a big problem. I can easily handle it by getting it back. Meng Qingshan was overjoyed and found a suitable stool. As for Chen Wei, they said they haven't seen him before. This is a 4-stroke electronic fuel injection marine external machine, which has not been imported domestically yet, probably due to technical barriers and other factors. Not to mention Chen Wei, not many domestic teachers have seen this new type of machine. After reading it, Meng Qingshan turned to his brother and said, "Brother, we can't afford anything else. Why don't we just take this back? In case a blind cat meets a dead mouse, we'll save a lot of money." Meng Qingshan was told by his younger brother earlier that he would buy whatever he wanted, and he firmly refused to buy anything he disagreed with. Now seeing my younger brother wanting to buy this thing that even Chen Wei was helpless, although I was puzzled, I still gritted my teeth and agreed to buy it. Chen Wei also didn't break his promise, saying that he sold this hot potato to them for 7,000 yuan and even helped to contact a delivery truck for them. Of course, the shipping cost will be borne by the brothers Meng Qingshan. At this point, Meng Qingshan's most concerning marine engine problem has been completely solved, and it is still a high-power external engine that was definitely one of the top small and medium-sized fishing boats in China at that time. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Anecdotes of the Past College Entrance Examination. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Anecdotes of the Past College Entrance Examination. After bringing the machine home, Meng Qingshan first checked the circuit and then carefully and meticulously checked the machine. In the end, it was found that there was no problem with this machine originally, but the people who got it were too rough and used brute force, resulting in the damage of an inconspicuous accessory inside the machine. And this little gadget is not difficult to find, it belongs to the standard part of the Island Country brand engine, and can be bought anywhere that deals with Island Country engine parts. Worried about his brother buying the wrong item, Meng Qingshan asked his brother to take him to the accessory store and spend over 100 or nearly 200 yuan to buy a small accessory and replace it. After installing the machine, add oil and start it again. The sound of rumbling suddenly rang out in the yard. Meng Qingshan felt happy in his heart. He used to think that if it really didn't work, he would ask his brother to buy a diesel engine for a high-power tractor and spend some time transforming it into a marine engine. Although the power system is slow and not very agile to operate, it can still barely run to slightly farther sea areas for fishing operations. Now I have unexpectedly obtained this new type of machine, which is not only fast but also flexible to operate when installed on small fishing boats. The most important thing is efficiency and safety, which greatly reduces the risk of Meng Qingshan going out to sea for fishing. This machine has sufficient power, which is too wasteful for the 5-meter boat I planned to buy before. Meng Qingshan asked his brother to buy a 7.8-meter boat, which would be suitable for a fishing boat with this engine. Brother Meng Qingshan saw that his younger brother had actually repaired the ship with an external engine, and he believed his brother's words without doubt. Immediately contact someone to buy a fishing boat that is more than 7 meters but less than 10 meters. After the most important power on fishing boats is solved, it becomes easy to buy fishing boats, and small fishing boats can be built by shipyards in coastal towns. Quickly, Meng Qingshan spent over 8,000 yuan to buy a fishing boat that was over 8 meters long. After preparing all the necessary fishing nets and other items on the boat for a few more days, he excitedly began fishing in the sea. Meng Qingshan was worried that his brother might run too far and have problems. He told his brother to fish in the nearshore first and then go out to the open sea when he became familiar with it. Meng Qingshan reassured his younger brother that although he didn't go out to sea much in recent years, he grew up as a child of a fisherman's family. Every year during the peak fishing season, I also go out to sea with the fishing boats in my village to earn 2 months of hard work at sea, so that my family can live more comfortably. Meng Qingshan is very familiar with the sea area near his home. Seeing the career of his siblings gradually getting back on track, Meng Qingshan devoted all his energy to reviewing for the college entrance examination. In his previous life, Meng Qingshan's journey towards the college entrance examination was very tragic. To be honest, he mainly blamed himself for being too young. Now recalling what he had done back then, he felt like he had gone out of the solar system with 2 coins. The reason is that he did well in his studies at the county high school, and the teachers and classmates at the school also thought he was doing well in his studies, which gave him an inexplicable sense of superiority, thinking that he was a top-notch genius. But he didn't realize that his school was just a high school in a small county town, where he ranked among the top in terms of learning. Compared with candidates from all over the country, it would be good if he could rank in the middle or upper level. What's even more outrageous is that when filling out the application form, the young man named Meng Qingshan filled it out with 2 coins first choice. Tsinghua University. Second choice. Tsinghua University. Third choice. Tsinghua. At that time, the teacher advised him to make some changes, but he confidently said that only Tsinghua University was worthy of him and other schools would not go. As soon as the results were released, his score was several tens of points behind that of Tsinghua University, which was enough to meet the score line of a good university in Guangdong province. However, all 3 of his choices were from Tsinghua University. Even if you scored 600 points in that month, as long as you didn't apply to other schools when filling out your application, schools with an admission line of 300 points wouldn't want you. So Meng Qingshan, who later ranked 211 in the province, was able to score and was honorably eliminated. This incident later spread to most high schools in Guangdong province, and of course, when the teachers told the students about it, the name of the person who played with the heifer upside down was hidden. Just a warning to their students, no matter how confident you are in yourself, when filling out your third choice, be sure to fill it in the school with the worst possible plan, and never learn that stupid fork. After failing to make it to the list in his previous life, Meng Qingshan became depressed and hid at home without the face to go out and meet people. He always felt that anyone who looked at him had a mocking expression in their eyes. My sister Law Li Hui was worried that this young man wouldn't take it seriously. She not only spent a lot of money and sent someone to the provincial capital to buy the complete set of college entrance examination analysis from that year, but also encouraged him not to give up and strive to get into a good school next year. Unfortunately, Meng Qingshan didn't have the heart to repeat his studies anymore. He was such a proud and conceited guy that he didn't find a crooked neck tree to hang himself up, which was already very difficult. Also because of this incident, Meng Qingshan decided to leave his hometown after locking himself up at home for more than half a year and signed up as a crew member with others, first on an ocean-going fishing boat, and then on a cargo ship. Until 20 years later, Meng Qingshan, who had been drifting at sea for decades, was already familiar with the power systems of various large ships and became a well-known chief engineer in the industry. On the day the ship sank, they didn't get married either. At first, they felt ashamed to see the elderly Jiang Dong and refused the family's recommended blind date. To put it simply, it was the dark history of the college entrance examination that caused the trouble. Later on, when I got used to living alone and missed home, I took advantage of the holiday to go home and live with my brother and sister-in-law for a period of time. Half of the money he earned in those years was spent on his own nephew and niece, and the 2 children were also very close to his uncle. He also thinks that since he has both his nephews and nieces, and the Lao Meng family has a queen, it's not a big deal if he doesn't get married. Moreover, as he watched his colleagues around him, regardless of the country, being away for work all year round led to backyard fires, which further strengthened his determination not to start a family. Many people say that crew members who go on long voyages are very vulgar, and Meng Qingshan expresses disdain for those who say these words. You come to the ship and float on the sea for several months to experience. During these critical months, even a flea on the ship has been considered public. I forgot which year he saw a cross-talk performance by Little Black Fatty on the internet. Little Black Fatty threatened to take someone down the island country to be carefree. After hearing this, Meng Qingshan gave the chubby Little Black a scolding and said, "Look at your achievements. One day, my brother will take you to Rotterdam to broaden your horizons." The one that accompanied him the longest in his past life was the 1987 college entrance examination analysis, which he cherished by his side and eventually sank into the sea with him. The analysis of that set of test questions was the solace of relieving loneliness at sea during his first years as a sailor. He had read and done it countless times, and it had completely imprinted in his mind. This is also Meng Qingshan's confidence in not worrying about the college entrance examination in his lifetime. For him, even if there are some deviations in the test questions, he can still be admitted to the university he wants to go to. In this life, he did not hesitate to give up on applying to Tsinghua University, where he had applied for all 3 wishes in his previous life. Not every time he saw the word Tsinghua, it made him feel the urge to hang his crooked neck on a tree to treat his cervical problems. But the university he chose this time is in Modu, which is still a top-tier university in China, not for any other reason, just because Modu is at the forefront of the domestic economy. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Fully prepare for the college entrance examination. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Fully prepare for the college entrance examination. Going to the Magic City to attend university is also one of the preparations Meng Qingshan made for his future flight. He knew that in just over 2 years, the Magic City would conduct a stock trial run. There weren't many people in the first few months of the trial run, but by the time it officially started running after the Spring Festival in 1990, it could be said that there were countless people in the market, and many people couldn't squeeze in if they wanted to open an account. In his past life, he drifted at sea for decades, worked with sailors from many countries, and made many friends. He can speak English and Japanese fluently, as well as Hindi, English and French, and can also handle a few sentences. However, he still has to keep this matter a secret and cannot disclose it. The main thing is that it cannot be explained. In the past few decades, he made many friends with Chinese crew members, including those from various backgrounds. There was a Chinese friend named Lin Shumao who once made a fortune by trading stocks, but later lost all his money and became heavily indebted. In the end, I had no choice but to become a sailor, half to make a living, and the other half to avoid people and pursue debts. He didn't stop listening to that person chattering to him about everything, such as old 8 stocks, things that didn't hit the limit up at the beginning, and the stock price of 1 yuan could rise to 30.40 in a day, and so on. Meng Qingshan plans to quickly open an account and pick up money during the trial operation. What Meng Qingshan needs to do now is to study hard and strive to get into a good university in the Magic City. As for the sudden addition of a fishing boat with a good engine at home, he had already agreed on the caliber with his brother and sister. In law, saying that a few days ago, he wanted to gamble and bought a broken machine for 7,000 yuan. Fortunately, I met an expert in the provincial capital and spent 15,000 yuan to have the machine repaired. It's not that Meng Qingshan is worried that Chen Wei will back out and want to buy the machine again. In these years, people still attach great importance to their reputation, not to mention that Meng Qingshan is still Chen Wei's cousin's loyal friend. Meng Qingshan told his sister. In law that no one can tell this, otherwise others would know that he can even repair imported engines. When the time comes, he will bring the faulty machine to ask for his help to repair it, so he won't have time to read and learn. Brother Meng Qingshan and sister. In law Li Hui know that he is doing well in his studies and may become the first college student from their Fengwei village. Although it was a pity that repairing the engine was a profitable task that could not be done, it was only a pity, and I completely agreed with Meng Qingshan's decision. Sure enough, Chen Wei, who had heard the news not long after, made a special trip to their place to see the fishing boat. I heard that it only cost 15,000 yuan to hire someone to repair the machine in the provincial capital. I kept sighing at Meng Qingshan's good fortune, and frankly said that if this machine is repaired and he sells it, there will be people vying for 50 or 60,000 yuan. As Meng Qingshan had imagined, Chen Wei only sighed at the good luck of the Meng brothers before returning to his renovated factory. With the catch from this fishing boat at home, the variety of seafood at Li Hui's seafood stall suddenly became more diverse, and many rare sea fish that other stalls were not easy to obtain were sold there every once in a while. This also caused Li Hui's seafood stall to skyrocket in popularity, and some even found the stall and left their phone numbers, stating that as long as they had the fish they wanted, they would definitely keep it for them. When they received the call, they would come and buy it immediately, and the market price was not ambiguous. Seeing that his brother and sister-in-law were fishing and selling fish now, which had formed a virtuous cycle and the speed of making money had significantly increased, Meng Qingshan finally felt relieved. By doing those tedious preliminary work on his own, he finally achieved satisfactory results. Otherwise, he would have suffered greatly if he had been distracted from doing so many things in the months leading up to the college entrance examination. In the following days, Meng Qingshan, who was relieved, devoted himself wholeheartedly to the intense preparation for the college entrance examination. Whenever Meng Qingshan encounters various subject questions similar to those in his mind, he will repeatedly do them, and if he doesn't, he will go to ask the teacher for advice. Not only that, Meng Qingshan also did not let go of the large number of exercises assigned by various subject teachers. He knew that these exercises were all types of questions that various subject teachers guessed might be tested. Regardless of whether the teacher guesses right or wrong, let's first understand. If this exam is different from the set of questions in my previous life, and if I only bet on that set of questions, then the college entrance examination in this life will be ruined again. I have already sand sculpted once in my past life, and in this life, I can't say anything more. Meng Qingshan's rapid progress in academic performance during this period has surprised his homeroom teacher and all the teachers in charge. Meng Qingshan, who was originally ranked 10th overall in his third year of high school, surprisingly made it to the top 3 of his grade rankings in every subject in recent bottom-of-the-line exams. In this way, the total score of each subject is ranked first in the grade. For a while, Meng Qingshan became a coveted asset in the eyes of school leaders and teachers, who all believed that based on his current grades, he was likely to be admitted to top domestic universities like Tsinghua and Peking University through hard work. Since the resumption of the college entrance examination, the first student from a county high school to be admitted to a top university in China may appear this year, which has excited the school leaders. The school has a special meeting for the entire senior high school staff, deciding to tilt the school's resources towards the top 30 students in the senior year, especially Meng Qingshan and the top 5 students in the grade. Whenever there is a learning problem, the teacher and school must make every effort to help solve it. Meng Qingshan's elder brother and sister-in-law also learned during a special home visit by the school leaders that his younger brother had a chance to be admitted to a top university in the country. This made Meng Qingshan and his wife extremely happy. When the school leaders suggested that the family and school work together to create the best learning environment for Meng Qingshan, the couple nodded their heads like stepping on the switch. One day at the end of April, Meng Qingshan had dinner and was about to return to his room to do exercises when his sister-in-law, Li Hui, stopped him. With a puzzled expression, Meng Qingshan looked at his serious sister-in-law and thought something was wrong with his family. Just as I was about to ask, my sister-in-law took out a cloth bag from the cabinet and placed it on the table, waving him to sit in front of the table. As soon as Meng Qingshan sat down, he saw his brother Meng Qingshan opening his cloth bag and revealing several bundles of old man tickets tied with rubber bands. Brother Meng Qingshan looked at his younger brother and said, "I've been discussing with your sister-in-law for quite some time, and we've decided to split the money we earn into 2 parts, half for you and half for brother." Li Hui saw Meng Qingshan with a puzzled expression on his face, afraid that he might misunderstand, and quickly explained. "Don't worry, my younger brother and sister-in-law have no intention of splitting up. My sister.in.law and your brother have been discussing for a long time, and we both feel that your brain is more effective than the two of us. Buying fishing boats and selling fish at stalls were both your ideas. At the beginning, your brother and I were worried about losing money. After doing what you said, I realized how much better it is to make money than to work in a factory. In just over a month, our family has earned about 20,000 yuan, which is equivalent to a 10,000 yuan household in just 1 month. Seeing Meng Qingshan about to speak, Li Hui waved her hand and continued. The money was divided into 2 parts that your brother and I discussed. Brother, you have a lively mind and can see it accurately. This half of the money is yours for you to keep, and in the future, you can use it directly when you see what you want. If we leave it with my sister.in.law, she will be worried that when you need money, we will hesitate and miss the opportunity. In the future, my younger brother can do whatever he wants. Even if he pays, it's okay. You can use the money from my sister.in.law at any time. Meng Qingshan was deeply moved upon hearing this. In her past life, when she was in a state of decadence, her elder brother and sister.in.law had to worry about herself a lot. In this life, as soon as I had the first signs of charging, my elder brother and sister.in.law started planning for themselves early on, fearing that it would hinder their path of charging forward quickly. Taking the cloth bag handed over by his brother, Meng Qingshan smiled. Sister-in-law, although the 10,000 yuan household is still well known now, it is outdated. Look, at most in 10 or 20 years, our Lao Meng family's assets will have to be calculated in billions. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Bank Teller Zhang Xindi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Bank Teller Zhang Xindi. Meng Qingshan's elder brother and sister.in.law did not pay attention to his words that the future assets of the family would be in the billions. On the contrary, her sister.in.law Li Hui reminded Meng Qingshan to study hard and strive to get into a prestigious university, so as to bring glory to their old Meng family. Li Hui also told him that in the future, the cost of his college education will be entirely covered by his elder brother and sister.in.law. With the money given to him, he only needs to do what he likes and doesn't have to worry about anything else. The next day, Meng Qingshan took the time to open an account with the agricultural bank of the town and deposit the 10,000 yuan given by his elder brother and sister.in.law with his household registration book. There was no way, although the first generation of ID cards had already begun to be implemented, they had not yet been fully popularized. Meng Qingshan took the time to apply for the ID card at the police station and only got it during the summer vacation after the college entrance examination. In the following days, Meng Qingshan was completely immersed in intense review, while his elder brother and sister.in.law were busy with their fishing and seafood stalls. The only change is that Meng Qingshan has to make time to run to the Agricultural Bank of China in town once a month, because his sister.in.law insists on giving him half of his family's income every month to save for himself. The day of the college entrance examination is getting closer and closer. In 1987, the college entrance examination was scheduled on July 7th, 8th, and 9th. One day in late June, when Meng Qingshan went to the Agricultural Bank of China in the town again with money to deposit, he found the young teller who had opened an account for him 2 months ago crying on the table in the savings office lobby, and the staff of 2 banks nearby were whispering to her. Meng Qingshan never intervened in matters that had nothing to do with himself, and went straight to the savings window to apply for his savings. In recent years, the savings office of the town bank is not very busy, and those who handle business only deposit or withdraw tens or hundreds of yuan. Those like Meng Qingshan who come to deposit nearly 10,000 yuan every month are definitely big clients. The bank staff may not know why this young man is so wealthy, but they dare to deposit the money openly in the bank, and everyone understands that the source of the money is definitely not a problem. When dealing with large clients, bank staff are always very enthusiastic. Just as Meng Qingshan was about to leave after finishing his savings, there was a woman in her 30s who was persuading the crying girl in the hall. She saw Meng Qingshan finish his savings and planned to leave. Perhaps she thought it could help persuade her colleagues and make her more familiar with this big client, so she stopped him and said, "Liangzi, help big sister persuade my colleagues. You young people have similar ideas and speak more effectively than us." The teller crying there is named Zhang Xindi. When Meng Qingshan first came to open an account, it was this girl who was not a few years older than him who handled it for him. After the first 10,000 yuan deposit in his passbook, there is also a seal called the Zhang Xindi agent seal. Zhang Xindi is quite beautiful and has a soft and pleasant speaking voice, but her accent is clearly not their local PZ accent. Being stopped and asking for help, coupled with helping beautiful women, would not be rejected by young male livestock. Meng Qingshan then went to listen to them talk about the truth behind the matter. Originally, Zhang Xindi was from the Magic City. The reason why she came to work in a small county town below QZ City in GD province was because she was dating a QZ male classmate in her class while attending a vocational school in finance and accounting. When she graduated, she followed her boyfriend to work in his hometown with a fantasy about the future. The meaning is already very clear. She has already decided to marry her boyfriend and get married here. Unexpectedly, it has been almost 2 years now, and her boyfriend's parents have not mentioned marriage. She has repeatedly urged her boyfriend to bring this up to her family, hoping to get married as soon as possible. Who knew that this morning when he just started working, his boyfriend's mother came over to tell her that his father was about to be promoted to deputy county. A woman like her was not worthy of her son, so she told her not to cling to him anymore. Upon hearing this, Meng Qingshan immediately laughed. His smile stunned the two people he was trying to persuade, as well as the crying Zhang Xindi. Zhang Xindi stopped crying and looked up at him in confusion. Meng Qingshan realized that it was inappropriate for him to laugh so loudly at this moment, so he quickly changed into a serious expression and said to Zhang Xindi, "Sister, you are a person who has seen the world in a big place like the Magic City. Why cry over such a small matter? Just your boyfriend, who is so old and still listens to his mother, is just a useless loser. You should be grateful that his family did not agree to your marriage, otherwise your hard times will still be ahead. Besides, his father hasn't been promoted to deputy county yet, he's just going crazy like this. If he really promoted to deputy county, his mother wouldn't be able to turn the tables. The deputy county level may sound impressive, but when you think about it, it's just a small auxiliary department. In your Magic City, older neighborhood committee directors may all be deputy directors, right? Don't cry, you will be grateful that this family didn't let you get married and escaped the fire pit in the future." You should celebrate. His words stunned everyone, even Zhang Xindi looked up at Meng Qingshan and forgot to cry. Meng Qingshan suddenly realized that what he said was a bit too crazy in this era. Even elementary school students could understand this before he was reborn, but now he still hasn't completely escaped the era of planned economy. During this period, not to mention the deputy county, it was also a very powerful existence as a real power deputy department. Taking advantage of the fact that the few people had not yet returned, Meng Qingshan quickly left the savings office and hurried back to school. Meng Qingshan ran away in a hurry, but he didn't expect that his words really woke up Zhang Xindi. When Zhang Xindi was attending a vocational school, she was chased by her classmate Lin Shan for a year, and finally agreed to be his boyfriend and girlfriend. As a result, he was dizzy and disoriented by Lin Shan's sweet words. Despite the opposition of his family, he resolutely followed Lin Shan to this small county in his hometown upon graduation. During the time when Lin Shan first arrived here, everything was fine. Zhang Xia, Lin Shan's mother, felt that her son had found a beautiful girlfriend from the Magic City, and that speaking out would bring face. She was still very friendly to Zhang Xindi. But later on, due to issues with Zhang Xindi's work, Lin Shan's mother changed her face. Zhang Xia believes that the reason why Zhang Xindi was able to work at Agricultural Bank of China was all the result of her family's men asking someone to help, deliberately ignoring that Zhang Xindi has school allocation quotas, and their family only played a role in small details. From then on, Zhang Xia's attitude towards Zhang Xindi changed, and she became more and more dissatisfied with her. It seemed that Zhang Xindi was only able to work in a good organization like a bank because she was his son's girlfriend and her family put in a lot of effort. Zhang Xindi has a weak personality and sometimes feels like she has been wronged and can only complain to Lin Shan. Who knew that Lin Shan couldn't hold up her reputation, and her words of complaint to Lin Shan quickly reached Zhang Xia's ears. In the future, Zhang Xindi will live more and more like a child bride, and Zhang Xia will also increasingly feel that Zhang Xindi is not worthy of her own family. Recently, there were rumors that Lin Jiqian, the father of Lin Shan, is likely to take a step further from his position as a regular professor, which has been here for over a decade. Upon receiving this news, Zhang Xia, the mother of Lin Shan, was completely inflated and firmly opposed her son's future dealings with Zhang Xindi. She also arranged for someone to introduce her son to a family that she claimed to be a perfect match. Today, Zhang Xia went to Zhang Xindi's workplace to warn her not to worry about her son's affairs. The two female colleagues who were persuading Zhang Xindi nearby heard Meng Qingshan's words and felt that the young man's words were too unreliable. However, due to the large amount of money he saved every month, they were not clear about his family's situation and were worried that the offending person would not refute him. But after Meng Qingshan left, the woman in her 30s named Lu Li advised Zhang Xindi. That boy is too young to understand the world. Don't take it personally. Go back to Lin Shan and say more good words to his mother. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, there are always some things that don't please each other. Unexpectedly, at this moment Zhang Xindi stopped crying and saw the girl wipe her tears and stand up. I cried because I was saddened by the wasted emotions over the years. That young man said it well. What if Lin Shan's father became a vice-county? He's just a small official, his father is in his 50s and still fighting for a deputy position. My uncle was in the vice hall before he was 40 last year, and I haven't seen anyone as arrogant as his family. I need to take a leave to go home. I don't want to stay here anymore, I want to go back to the Magic City. Meng Qingshan quickly forgot about this little episode at the savings office and immediately returned to school to engage in intense review. With only half a month left until the college entrance examination, both teachers and senior students feel an invisible pressure falling on them. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Successfully admitted to Fudan University. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Successfully admitted to Fudan University. The 1987 college entrance examination, which everyone was nervous and looking forward to, arrived as scheduled. After seeing the first exam paper, Meng Qingshan knew that he had no problem getting into his first choice, Fudan University. Because although the test paper is slightly different from what I remember, more than 80% of the test questions are exactly the same as what I remember. Meng Qingshan had previously inquired about the admission line for key universities in GD province, which used to be around 530 points. In order to be more secure, Meng Qingshan carefully checked every exam to ensure that his total score was around 580 points. Such grades can definitely be admitted to any university in China. However, this time Meng Qingshan filled in not only the first choice of Fudan University in the capital city, but also the second and third choices of the university located in the capital city. In this lifetime, he will die in the capital city. After the college entrance examination, Meng Qingshan told his elder brother and sister-in-law that he would definitely be admitted to Fudan University this time, and he could also guarantee his scores, so that he could get into the major he applied for without any accidents. Then Meng Qingshan didn't rest much at home, so he followed his brother out to sea to fish. His sister-in-law Li Hui advised him to stay at home and not to do fishing. He only needed his brother Meng Qingliang, and even if he was really busy, his father would come over to help. How could Meng Qingshan not go? In his past life, he stayed on a deep-sea fishing boat for several years. There are still many experiences in fishing in the sea, and now I finally have the opportunity to tell my elder brother Meng Qingshan about these fishing techniques. I can't let anything go. So Meng Qingshan, who had summer vacation, followed his brother to go fishing at sea every day. When the weather was good, he even encouraged his brother to bring an extra large bucket of fuel, and the two of them ran to further waters to catch fish. Meng Qingshan's fishing boat also caught more fish due to the addition of Meng Qingshan. Meng Qingshan told his brother that his fishing skills and knowledge of fishing nets under sea conditions were all learned from books. Meng Qingshan firmly believes in this. After all, his brother almost grew up under his own nose. He has been to the sea several times before and knows it well. However, seeing that his younger brother's method of fishing was indeed much better than his own, Meng Qingshan humbly accepted his brother's advice on the techniques of monitoring water conditions and fishing. Less than a month after the college entrance examination, the admission letter from Fudan University was sent to Meng Qingshan's school. Meng Qingshan scored 586 points in the college entrance examination this time, not only becoming the top scorer in QZ City's college entrance examination, but also becoming one of the top 5 in the entire GD province's college entrance examination, which has completely made their county high school popular. When Meng Qingshan went to the school to collect his admission letter, he refused various party invitations from his classmates and directly returned home, citing that he also had to help his family go fishing at sea. It's not that Meng Qingshan got high scores and put on airs, but rather that these classmates, after the college entrance examination in his previous life, never contacted him again and had no impression of them before his rebirth. Since there were no friends from previous lives and no close friendships in this life, Meng Qingshan felt that it was a waste of his time fishing and making money by going to gatherings where he kept in touch with them. Is it not good to have time to go out to sea with my older brother and catch more fish, so that I can have more abundant starting funds? Meng Qingshan doesn't attend various celebration banquets and gatherings with his classmates, and none of his classmates think it's wrong. He did go out to sea with his brother every day after the college entrance examination. In those years, no one's family was very wealthy, and classmates thought their family was relatively difficult. Teachers even thought this student was sensible, and things just passed without anyone mentioning it. Meng Qingshan's sister-in-law knew that in less than half a year, his younger brother had already held a huge sum of 40,000 yuan in his hand. Seeing that he still had to go fishing with him every day, I vaguely guessed that Meng Qingshan seemed to be interested in a certain route, but that route required a relatively large amount of funds. One day after dinner, Meng Qingshan and Li Huifu's wife called Meng Qingshan and held another family meeting. This time, the couple told Meng Qingshan that after paying the tuition fees they reported for the start of the school year, they would give Meng Qingshan 2,000 yuan per year, 1,000 yuan for meals, 1,000 yuan for purchasing study materials, and other expenses. As for what he wants to do in the future, if he doesn't have enough money, he can take it from home and use it first, without having to work so hard. You should know that in 1987, the consumption was still very low. 10 yuan was enough to eat in the university cafeteria for a week, and you could also eat 2 meat dishes. Excluding winter and summer vacations, the cost of 1,000 meals per week is about 25 yuan, which is definitely the cost of wealthy students at that time. There are also 1,000 yuan for other expenses. Meng Qingshan is very grateful for his brother and sister-in-law's care for him, but he did not shirk his courtesy. Being too polite may seem distant but not good. Then I'll accept it. With so much living expenses, your younger brother definitely belongs to the wealthy class at school. After his elder brother and sister-in-law finished explaining their school matters, Meng Qingshan proposed that he planned to go to Mo in advance these 2 days. One is to familiarize yourself with the place there, and the other is to open an account at the bank next to the school there. When the time comes, you can directly transfer the money from here to that account, which saves you the risk of running so far with the money. My sister-in-law immediately agreed and gave him another 2,000 yuan, asking him to buy some new clothes directly there. After all, he was going to live in the magic city, so he happened to buy some clothes directly there. Go to the police station to get his ID card, and Meng Qingshan took the train from Guangdong to Shanghai with 2,000 yuan. Not long after getting on the train, Meng Qingshan regretted it. Sitting in the seat, holding a cardboard train ticket that was over an inch long and half an inch wide, with the words, Yangqing to Magic City Hard Seat Express, printed on it, I felt the notches cut on the ticket by the staff using pliers like tools while getting on the train. Meng Qingshan has the impulse to jump up and roar a song called 3 Days and 3 Nights. This time my mistake is really outrageous. Unexpectedly, I forgot the speed of the green train in these years, and I have to stay on the train for a few days on this one trip. More importantly, due to this mistake, I will have to suffer this kind of crime twice more. Suppressing the urge to cry in his heart, Meng Qingshan reminisced about the high-speed rail in his past life. I ate and slept on the train, and when I woke up, I chatted with the person I just met next to me. Meng Qingshan didn't even know how many times he had slept so aimlessly. The passenger who had been chatting well before falling asleep next to him, when he woke up several times, changed into a stranger's face. The train I took went through countless stops and finally entered the Magic City railway station on the third night. Meng Qingshan, carrying his shoulder bag, suddenly felt a sense of being released from prison as he walked out of the Magic City railway station with the flow of people. He dare not think that next time he comes, he will have to bring his bedding roll with him. After taking such a long train ride here, he will be able to walk freely with his own salute. According to the address of Fudan University that I had written down, I found a place near the university with a state-owned hotel hanging on its door and registered to stay. Running to the water room to fetch water, Meng Qingshan went back to the room and scrubbed it thoroughly with a towel. Only then did he lie down comfortably to rest. Although I often take a nap on the train, it is impossible to rest well while sitting and sleeping. Fortunately, although there was no way to take a shower in the room of this hotel, the water room was supplied with hot water 24 hours a day. After wiping the whole body with warm water a few times, most of the fatigue on the train in the past few days was gone. After sleeping until 10 o'clock the next morning, Meng Qingshan quickly got up and tidied up, went out to find a place to eat and a bank. On the road, he looked around at the houses that would soon be demolished and rebuilt. He couldn't help but remind himself that he was 17 or 18 years old now. How could he be depressed by the trains these past few days? A young man of his current age should be curious about the outside world. Is it because he has memories of his past life and unconsciously compares high-speed rail with current transportation that he feels dissatisfied with? This kind of mentality is not acceptable. Otherwise, in the past few decades, besides becoming an angry youth, I would have no intention of doing anything else. With self-reflection in mind, Meng Qingshan also found an agricultural Bank of China branch near the main entrance of the university. Go in and provide the necessary identification, and open a bank account here. After learning that he was admitted to the famous university next to him and specifically came to open an account to transfer money to, the people at the bank immediately became very enthusiastic about Meng Qingshan. Although many people think that MOD is superior, it also depends on who is right. The students who can be admitted to the nearby school are definitely elites from all over the country. After graduation, many elite units in the Magic City will rush to recruit here. Entering the gate of this school is definitely equivalent to holding onto the iron rice bowl of a prestigious unit. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Blaming foreign investment in island countries. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Blaming foreign investment in island countries. After completing the task of opening an account, Meng Qingshan suddenly relaxed and casually looked around, only to find that even the buildings facing the street were mostly low and old, with not many buildings exceeding 5 floors. This quickly made Meng Qingshan lose his interest in strolling around, and he returned to his hotel. Also, this place was really big, and even if he strolled around with his legs, he couldn't even turn a few places. The next morning, after having breakfast, Meng Qingshan took the route map he had learned from the waiter and went to several famous clothing stores to buy clothes. Of course, he won't just buy for himself. He needs to buy more clothes for his sister-in-law to go back. Anyway, he will be going to school here soon and can buy clothes anytime he wants. Walking a few hundred meters to the bus stop, Meng Qingshan got on a tram heading towards one of his destinations. He planned to take more turns and see if there were anything his family needed to buy back. Perhaps just after the morning rush hour, coupled with the fact that there are quite a few buses in SH City, this seemingly outdated tram is not crowded in Meng Qingshan's opinion. Speaking of not having many people is just relative to Shanghai, the only thing that can be said about cars is that they are not crowded. If you want to sit in a seat, you really want to think too much. It is already difficult to stand loosely on the car. Originally, Meng Qingshan took a few steps to the back of the car as soon as she got in, avoiding blocking others from getting in and out. However, she saw a Shanghai aunt sitting next to her looking at her with a disdainful expression. Meng Qingshan was very sensible and moved to a place far away from his aunt. When he turned around, the person sitting next to him was replaced by an elderly old man. The old man seemed to see the predicament Meng Qingshan had just encountered and nodded at him with a friendly smile. Meng Qingshan quickly nodded and smiled, as if greeting the old man. Judging from this elderly man's extraordinary demeanor, if it weren't for meeting him on the bus, Meng Qingshan would have thought he was an old leader. The two middle-aged people sitting in front and behind him, as well as the young people around him, were all his attendants. Unfortunately, this was on the bus, and Meng Qingshan naturally felt that this should be a family. Both the middle-aged man and the young man were descendants of the old man, and out of concern, his gaze was fixed on the old man's side. At the inconspicuous corner of the rear of this tram, there sat an acquaintance of Meng Qingshan. At this moment, Zhang Xindi sat there with an incredulous expression on her face, staring at Meng Qingshan for a long time. She didn't understand why she had just returned a few days ago when she ran into this little rich man thousands of miles away on a bus in Shanghai. Not long after the bus was driven, its speed suddenly slowed down. Later on, the cars on their road became a long queue, but fortunately they were not blocked and could still move forward bit by bit. After walking for 2 or 3 minutes, the people on the bus finally saw what was going on ahead. It turned out that there was a traffic accident ahead, where a Crown sedan collided with a bicycle that crossed the slow lane and entered the fast lane. It seems like the person is fine, but the person on the Crown bike is not willing and is angrily pointing at the man riding the bike and running to the fast lane, shouting something. Without much effort, the bus that Meng Qingshan was riding on slowly drove to the scene of the accident. It was because they had a scratch here that they blocked 1/3 of the lane, which made all the cars accidentally pass by, avoiding a second accident. At this moment, the old man gestured to a young man in front to open the window, as if wanting to hear what they were arguing about. As soon as the window opened, the guy who got off the Crown car suddenly uttered a bird song from the island country. Upon hearing this, Meng Qingshan became furious and leaned into the window, shouting angrily at the boy, "Ba ga." Because the bus had already arrived next to them, Meng Qingshan's voice, as if shouting from above the boy's head, scared the island boy to shiver. As he turned his head, a string of skilled island bird songs spewed out quickly from Meng Qingshan's mouth. The small island man didn't dare to say a word to Meng Qingshan, and muttered something to someone next to him who seemed to be a translator. He quickly ran into the Crown car and sat there. When the translator turned and stared at Meng Qingshan about to say something, Meng Qingshan directly retorted. "What are you staring at? The island country has surrendered for over 40 years, do you still think you are a Japanese translator?" As soon as he uttered these words, everyone around burst into laughter as they watched the excitement. The traffic police who rushed to handle the accident on the side saw that they were afraid of any conflict between the two sides. Originally a small traffic accident, it would be difficult to clean up if it turned into a diplomatic incident. They quickly waved to the bus drivers here and urged them to leave quickly. The car left the scene of the accident just now, and the old man next to him smiled and asked Meng Qingshan, "Young man, did that small island person say something unpleasant that made you so angry just now?" Meng Qingshan nodded and said, "Well, that grandson said that people have no quality and don't obey traffic rules. That bastard doesn't talk about people. Now is so long and is short. I really need to be beaten." The old man sighed and said, "I owe you a beating. Unfortunately, we need to develop the economy now, so we can't beat you." After pausing for a moment, the old man asked again, "What did you say earlier?" That little island person didn't dare to fart and just returned to the car. Upon hearing the old man's question, Meng Qingshan also smiled. "I scolded that bastard and said, 'Are you also this arrogant in your island country? Which island company are you from? I'll find someone to promote your company to Asahi News later.' Do you think his appearance here is different from when he was in their island country? Yes, you don't know that when they were in their own country, they were always emphasized on politeness and humility. When they were in China, they were all kneeling alive, and coupled with being occupied by the United States until now, they have been suppressed very much. Once these guys go outside, their previously suppressed nature is exposed, and the personalities of islanders are mostly distorted." Meng Qingshan's words were actually summarized from his previous life, after decades of dealing with island people. As long as you go to the island country, you will find that these island people are really of high quality and very polite. But when you see islanders outside the island, especially those who have become crew members, there is simply no suitable word to describe their outrageous level. The old man sitting next to him pondered for a moment, then looked up and asked, "Young man, the island dialect is good. Do you specialize in learning this?" Meng Qingshan was afraid that others would ask him this, so he quickly covered up and said, "I'm not a foreign language student. I just took the college entrance exam this year and started studying economics at Fudan University." Seeing the old man still wanting to ask, he quickly continued. "In fact, my ancestors were fishermen. I learned island Mandarin because I heard a legend among fishermen and I don't know if it's true. It is said that fishermen in the north often come into contact with fishing boats from island countries while fishing in the open sea, and there is always conflict between the two sides over the pursuit of fish schools. So when encountering each other on both sides, would always curse a few words across the ship. At that time, I wanted to learn their words and make them understand when cursing." The old man couldn't help but laugh and said, "Sure enough, you used what you learned. Today the whole car saw you scolding that little island person. I secretly wiped away my cold sweat and finally managed to fool myself. When I graduate from college, even if all my English and Japanese are exposed, it's okay. Just say I learned it myself. Nowadays, as a senior high school graduate, I believe that being able to speak a foreign language proficiently is completely self-taught, and there won't be too many people who believe in it." At this moment, the old man suddenly asked, "Young man, what do you think of our current efforts to develop the economy?" Meng Qingshan was taken aback for a moment, asking himself a high school student about such a big topic. "But when I thought about it, no one knew me, so just talk about it. Anyway, in a few days, I'll go home. Old man, I think it's right for us to develop the economy. It's best to accelerate the pace of economic development. As long as we ensure domestic stability, we can develop as fast as we can." The old man suddenly became interested and sat up straight, gesturing for Meng Qingshan to continue speaking. "I think not to mention anything else, it's just for the sake of national defense and to make the country rich as soon as possible. You see, in many developed countries, the most important weapon for their armies is no longer artillery, but rather very expensive missiles. That thing costs millions of dollars when it's sold out. Without money, the country can't afford to fight. Besides, our country has been under lockdown for a long time, with too much technological backwardness. Now we are catching up with developed countries because their worker welfare is too high. We have no choice but to relocate labor-intensive factories to developing countries. The advantage of having a large number of workers and cheap wages is that we have the advantage. Although they are all producing civilian products, with these foundations, we can also make a big leap in our overall scientific research. After hearing Meng Qingshan's words, the old man not only glanced deeply at the young man in front of him. This glance also calmed down the excited Meng Qingshan who was speaking. Damn it. Excited to say, there's a bit of talk. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Tour Guide Zhang Xindi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Tour Guide Zhang Xindi. Fortunately, the bus quickly arrived at Meng Qingshan's destination, and he quickly ended his casual conversation with the old man. He quickly got off the bus and left. Meng Qingshan hurriedly left the old man and ran without looking back, which surprised the middle-aged man next to him. Old Che couldn't help but shake his head and laugh when he saw the middle-aged man's bewildered expression. It seemed that there was always a downside to his detached identity. Even his secretary, who had been with him for over 20 years, couldn't adapt to the way he communicated with ordinary people anymore. Meng Qingshan, who got off the car, quickly walked into the mall and let out a long sigh. Before, he thought the old man was just an ordinary elder with extraordinary demeanor. Later, during the conversation, he discovered an indescribable aura in his body. Every sentence he asks, with a calm tone, makes you unconsciously answer immediately. This intangible aura is definitely only present in people who have been in high positions for a long time. Stabilizing my mind, I realized that I hadn't said anything inappropriate earlier, and then I brushed off the sweat on my forehead, whether it was hot or startled. Just as I was about to take a step to find a place to sell what I needed, someone suddenly patted me on the shoulder from behind, and then a female voice came in. Little brother, when did you come to run away from demons? Turning around, it turned out to be Zhang Xindi standing behind her. Zhang Xindi's current attire is no longer like that of a rural bank teller in her own town. She is wearing a lake blue floral dress and a new pair of light blue leather sandals under her feet. Meng Qingshan couldn't help but sigh. As expected, people rely on clothes and horses rely on saddles. A few days ago, looking at her, she was just a slightly beautiful woman, and in the blink of an eye, she turned into a mesmerizing modern girl, still very beautiful. Seeing Meng Qingshan's bewildered appearance in her current attire, Zhang Xindi was still very satisfied. What's wrong, little pretty boy? I don't know my sister anymore. Meng Qingshan waved his tender white hand in front of him. Meng Qingshan deliberately teased this beautiful woman who was crying like Meng Jiangnu, and put on a serious expression to look at Zhang Xindi. Sister, please don't go back to QZ again in the future. What's going on? Did I have a fork at work? Is it something else that's causing me trouble? Meng Qingshan shook his head and sighed. No, I'm afraid that foolish guy Lin Shan will regret crying and fainting in the toilet when he sees you now. Zhang Xindi was momentarily stunned at the words, but quickly laughed and said, You little guy, you are quite good at speaking and obedient. It's not like the boys in your area who can say things and make women happy, right? Meng Qingshan almost choked on these words and sat down on the ground. Sister, I blame someone for having a debt and a owner. It's too much for you to knock over a boat of people with this one blow. After chatting for a while, Zhang Xindi learned that Meng Qingshan was going to buy clothes for her brother and sister. Law. She was very confident and decided to take him to buy them, telling him that she had been leading Meng Qingshan to buy things in Shanghai these days. And ensure that the places she leads to are all good places for real people from the demon city to buy clothes, definitely not those places that deceive outsiders. The things are definitely good and cheap. Meng Qingshan was certainly happy to hear this. With Zhang Xindi's help, at least buying clothes for his sister. Law would not be so awkward. Besides, having beautiful women accompany me shopping is not a bad thing, even a beast would think. The two were already of similar age, and Meng Qingshan himself was not innocent. During the summer vacation, he and his older brother were fishing at sea for more than a month, and they were tanned. At first glance, they looked older than Zhang Xindi. However, Zhang Xindi is now dressed fashionably with fair skin, coupled with a baby fat face and ear-length short hair, more like a student than Meng Qingshan. The two of them went shopping together, and every time they entered the mall, Meng Qingshan would mutter to himself. Black and white twin demons are here. Causing Zhang Xindi to laugh non-stop. When Meng Qingshan buys clothes for his brother, it's very simple. The two brothers have similar figures, so Meng Qingshan can give it a try. When it's time to buy clothes for my sister. Law Li Hui, I have to ask Zhang Xindi for help. Li Hui is slightly shorter than Zhang Xindi, but fuller than her. When explaining the size to Zhang Xindi, it always makes them feel embarrassed. Fortunately, Zhang Xindi has an outgoing personality and indeed regards Meng Qingshan as her younger brother. Meng Qingshan has decades of experience in his past life and has a thick skin, so neither of them is too conflicted about this matter. Zhang Xindi inquired about the hotel where Meng Qingshan was staying, and every morning she arranged a time to wait for Meng Qingshan at the entrance of the hotel. Then she led him around several major shopping malls in the Magic City. With the help of Zhang Xindi, Meng Qingshan bought almost all the money he brought, except for the travel expenses he left behind, for clothes. While chatting in the mall, Meng Qingshan also learned that although Zhang Xindi has returned to the Magic City, the job transfer is very troublesome and cannot be easily handled in a short time. For this reason, she was scolded by her mother at home, saying that she had already found a good job and insisted on leaving because she was disobedient. Nowadays, it is much more difficult to transfer jobs than at that time, and she is scolded for not being worry-free. More importantly, everyone in the neighborhood knows that she followed her boyfriend back then. Now when she comes back, everyone looks at her like they look at a divorced woman, which makes her feel even more sad. Meng Qingshan comforted her and said, "What's this? It's normal to break up if the person you're talking to is not suitable. As long as you don't underestimate yourself, others can do whatever they think." Meng Qingshan really wants to tell Zhang Xindi a sentence from those young people in their past lives who defended their binary attributes. As long as you are not embarrassed, it is others who are embarrassed. However, considering this era, this statement is really not suitable. Whoever does something like 2 coins in these days, even if he wants to make others embarrassed again, it will ultimately be himself who is embarrassed. In the end, it was found that there must be a way for the car to reach the front of the mountain. The ship will naturally straighten at the bridgehead. Words that I feel are better off not saying than saying. When sending Meng Qingshan home, Zhang Xindi left him her home phone number and repeatedly reminded him not to forget to tell herself after the school start report. Meng Qingshan is glad to have a local friend in the Magic City. After all, he planned to start from here, and having an acquaintance familiar with the local situation would be much more convenient. Watching Meng Qingshan's train slowly depart from the Magic City station, Zhang Xindi looked at the platform ticket she had bought for a penny to bid farewell to, feeling lost in her heart. If I say I have fallen in love with this big boy, he is 3 or 4 years younger than me and I have always treated him like a child. If you only consider him as an acquaintance, the joy in your heart every time you go shopping with him cannot deceive you. And this kid doesn't know what he grew up to eat, he's so much younger than himself, and his words always make sense. Especially when it comes to opinions on certain things, they are simply pointless and outdated. Recalling the time when the two of them chatted, Meng Qingshan learned that his house was facing demolition due to the renovation of the old city, and strongly suggested that if his family could get a house, he would definitely not pay. Even told her that if there are conditions at home, the developer will compensate you with a house and some money, and the house must be replaced. If the subsidy money can be used to cover some money, even if it is small, it must be replaced with a house. My neighbors around my house all feel quite satisfied with receiving some compensation for a house. They feel that the compensated house is much larger than before and that the compensation can be used for other purposes. It seems that my parents also think the same way. No, I have to talk to my parents about this matter and make sure to exchange the compensation for a house. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Meng Qingshan's plan to establish a company. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 9 Meng Qingshan's plan to establish a company. Zhang Xindi returned home and saw both her parents and grandmother present. Just as I was about to talk to my family about the issue with the house, my grandmother scolded me. I've been running outside all day, and I don't know how to stay at home. How can such a woman get married in the future? Zhang Xindi was speechless. Her grandmother had a serious preference for sons over daughters and always felt that giving birth to a daughter was a loss. Back then, because she was a girl, my grandmother was unhappy and raised her nose and eyes at my mother, looking at everything in the house. As a result, her mother Qin Meifeng was also stubborn and got into a fight with her mother. Law, almost causing her to divorce her father Zhang Debao. Although the marriage did not end, my mother firmly refused to have a second child, which caused my family to never settle down from childhood to adulthood. Although grandma really wanted to have a grandson, she offended her daughter. Law to death. Even if she didn't give birth, she was completely dumbfounded. Now, except for chatting with the old neighbors and cursing my daughter. Law, my grandmother has no other tricks. Knowing that getting into a fight with the old lady at home would be like flying chickens and dogs, Zhang Xindi cleverly chose to shut up and silently return to her makeshift wooden house that had been separated from her already small home. Mom Qin Meifeng has long been accustomed to the old lady picking faults everywhere, and even if she doesn't pick on her daughter, she doesn't hear anything. Zhang Xindi's father, Zhang Debao, felt distressed in his heart. Originally a good home, everyone was upset by the old lady, but it was his own mother, so he had no choice but to speak well on both sides. I've been saying good things here all day, and then I quickly went to comfort them. I'm just in my 50s, and my head has turned more than half white. During the meal, Qin Meifeng felt that her daughter had something on her mind and asked if she had anything to do. Seizing the opportunity, Zhang Xindi quickly expressed her idea of wanting a house as much as possible during the demolition of her own home. In order to increase persuasiveness, he also brought out Meng Qingshan's argument, saying that the city of Mo has not only been a direct-controlled municipality, but also has always been the economic center of the country. People from all over the country want to come here, but the magic city is just so big. In the future, houses will definitely be the most valuable thing, with huge potential for appreciation. Originally, Zhang Xindi thought that her grandmother would be the first to oppose, but who knew that her grandmother was the first to express strong support for her ideas. After grandma explained her thoughts, Zhang Xindi finally understood that what the older generation insisted on was not without any reason. My grandmother is influenced by old beliefs and believes that only real estate in her hands is considered family property. As long as there is an opportunity to purchase real estate at home, she should also tighten her belt and get it. Money is also important in the eyes of the elderly, but it is called floating wealth, far less important than real estate like houses. Zhang Xindi thinks that if her home is in the magic city, and if it were in the countryside, her grandmother might want to cultivate as much land as possible. Fortunately, grandma was on her side this time. Dad Zhang Dafu saw that mom and girl had the same opinion, so he quickly expressed his support for mom and girl. Although Qin Meifeng had been accustomed to confronting her mother. Law in times of trouble for decades, it was her own daughter who gave her opinions, so she naturally agreed. Zhang Xindi saw that in just a few minutes, such an important matter had been agreed upon, and she didn't come to her senses for a moment. At first, she thought that even if she had convinced her parents first, it would never be easy for her grandmother to pass that hurdle. This feeling now is definitely a sudden arrival of happiness. Because Zhang Xindi's proposal was approved by everyone in the family, everyone began to rush to get money and prepare for more houses. For the first time in over 20 years, a family that was originally not very harmonious has been working together, gradually showing signs of maternal kindness and filial piety. Besides, Meng Qingshan went through several days of agony on the green train again, carrying big and small bags back home. After giving the clothes I bought for my sister. Law and some small household items to her, I went back to my own room and fell asleep. The next day at dinner, my sister in Law complained to Meng Qingshan, saying that she gave him money to buy his own clothes. However, most of the clothes he bought were for his own couple. What should he do when he goes to school? Meng Qingshan smiled and said, "Sister-in-law, do you think that I will be studying in the Magic City for several years in the future? When can I buy clothes? I have to go back and forth now. You don't know how slow the train is, it's unbearable." After the family finished their meal, Meng Qingshan once again discussed with his brother and sister-in-law what he wanted to do. He used to think that he had found suitable things to do for his siblings, but he could only do nothing in college. It was really a waste of these years. Although the opportunity to become rich overnight may take many years to come, finding the right opportunity in recent years can also lead to making big money. At present, there is no opportunity to become rich like real estate and the internet, but it is still in a good time when there are opportunities to make money. As long as you look at the right time and do boldly, it is easy to get a millionaire before graduation from college. Speaking of what he wanted to do this time, it was something he suddenly thought of while browsing shopping malls in Shanghai. During the days when I followed Zhang Xindi to the shopping mall in Magic City, I often encountered discounts and sales for dealing with backlog of goods in the mall. It was the sight of people from other places rushing to purchase so-called overstocked goods that triggered Meng Qingshan's long-forgotten phenomenon of making money in this era. That way of making money in this era has a very lofty title, called trade shows. The term trade fair is actually an imported product, and in his memory, it should have emerged in the late 1980s and early 1990s. The popularity of this thing can also be considered as an inevitable result of the planned economy's imminent exit from the historical stage. In the era of planned economy, there was a unified and strict allocation system for material production and sales in various regions, and unauthorized circulation was not allowed. After nearly a decade of reform and opening up, many township enterprises, collective enterprises, and individual enterprises have emerged, breaking the monopoly of state-owned enterprises in the past. Many state-owned enterprises used to produce goods that could only be purchased with tickets, but due to outdated styles and slow innovation, they gradually became unsold and accumulated inventory. So the trade fair, which was used to handle the backlog of goods, emerged and quickly became popular throughout the country. In the early 1990s, if you asked a business person what they made the most money for, they would definitely tell you to hold a trade show, without even thinking about it. However, this thing also has a strategy. You have to deal with unsold products in first-tier cities like Beijing Magic City and go to other second- and third-tier cities to be snatched. Simply put, this thing is the time difference between the transition of planned economy and market economy. It is only in recent years that the products of existing state-owned factories have just started to sell poorly, while the products of emerging enterprises such as individual enterprises and township enterprises have insufficient production capacity, which has led to great demand in second- and third-tier cities. In the future, the production capacity of emerging enterprises will rapidly develop, and the good days of this trade fair will come to an end when they directly sell beautiful and practical products to second- and third-tier cities and even 18th-tier small counties. The first 5 years of this trade fair were the most profitable, and then it gradually began to decline. 10 years later, it became almost like a big episode, belonging to a sale. However, there is one more issue. You cannot hold a trade fair if you personally want to. At the very least, if you want the manufacturers and sales places to believe you, you must register a trading company. During this period, people only believed in business to business. Even if you were a personal enterprise, you had to have the company's official seal in order for others to believe you. So Meng Qingshan decided to register a commercial trading company in Shanghai. Of course, because he didn't know if he would succeed in launching this thing 2 years in advance, he planned to invest his tens of thousands of yuan first to test the waters. Of course, his small amount of money can only be played around, but fortunately, people's business reputation is still very reliable. As long as they gain the trust of the manufacturer, they can definitely only pay a small amount of advance payment and obtain a large number of goods. In addition, as he has just started his first year of school, he can only learn about the situation in the Magic City. He can only find suitable unsold manufacturers from the Magic City to supply and sell back to his hometown's QZ. In this way, everyone has their own magic, and there is a brother in their hometown. This simple company operation structure has been established. As long as you have contacted the goods in Magic City, quickly notify your brother to contact the venue in QZ City to start promoting, and bring people back from Magic City to sell the goods. Another thing is that the commercial company I registered in Magic City will appear in other second and third tier cities, and just relying on the word Magic City will make people feel like they are selling fashionable items. At first, my older brother was still reluctant to part with his popular ox-shaped fishing boat, which was popular in all the coastal areas. Meng Qingshan comforted his elder brother, saying that the fishing boat should be used temporarily. If the results of the exhibition and sales are good in the future, he can sell or package the boat to others, and then he will specifically go to the exhibition and sales event. Sister-in-law Li Hui saw that Meng Qingshan was still hesitating, so she slapped his arm and said, "Why hesitate? This boat was saved for you by my younger brother. Even if you sell it, if you want it later, my younger brother will save you another one." Meng Qingshan really wanted to say that he was accumulating one, and he might not even come across such a good machine for picking up leaks. However, he was worried that his older brother would be reluctant to let go, so he persevered and didn't say anything. Meng Qingshan gritted his teeth as he saw his wife urging him to listen to his younger brother. "Okay, I'll listen to you, but that boat can't be sold for now." End of this chapter. Chapter 10. New Student Registration. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. New Student Registration. Meng Qingshan thought that the Nyocha business model, which originated from the two brothers of the old Meng family in Fengwei village and would become popular nationwide in a few years, was decided by Meng Qingshan and his sister. In law on that night. Next, Meng Qingshan discussed with his brother and sister. In law about the details of preparations needed to establish this trading company. Meng Qingshan knows that although policies now allow individuals to run companies and Magic City is at the forefront of reform and opening up, registering a company for individuals is not an easy task. Besides, I didn't have any experience in running a company in my past life, so this time I have to rely on myself to explore and do it alone. Time passed by so quickly that Meng Qingshan and his sister. In law agreed that as soon as he arrived at Magic City to attend school, he would immediately find an opportunity to register a trading company. After only following his older brother to sea for a week, it was time for him to set off again to Magic City. Meng Qingshan gritted his teeth and spent an extra 200 yuan to buy a train ticket for a sleeper. It's not that he can't bear the hardship. It's okay to let him go to the dock to fight for 3 days and 2 nights. The key is to endure for 3 days and 2 nights on the hard seat of the train. Not to mention lying down and sleeping for a while, he can't even stretch his legs. Staying up for a few days like this is simply torture. Being able to lie down in the sleeper was much better along the way. Meng Qingshan even chatted with several other passengers in the sleeper to pass the time. After arriving at the Magic City, as soon as I left the train station, I unexpectedly discovered Fudan University. A school bus was sent to the train station to pick up new students. It is estimated that only these top universities in China will have the resources to send school buses to pick up new students this year. During this period, young people had strong self-reliance abilities, and many boys came alone carrying gifts and riding trains and ferries. The vast majority of parents who are not confident in following the delivery are girls, and there are also boys who are sent by parents, but very few. After arriving at the school by school bus, Meng Qingshan followed the welcoming signs posted by various departments along the way and entered a building. On the 3rd floor, he saw a female teacher in her 30s with short hair. She checked Meng Qingshan's admission letter, looked at his name and confirmed that he was a new student in the economics department. She smiled and told Meng Qingshan that her name was Lulu and she was their class instructor. Then he handed Meng Qingshan a small stack of meal and meal tickets, and placed a check mark after his name to tell him where his dormitory was, even if he had checked in. Through a simple conversation with the instructor, Meng Qingshan finally realized that there was no need to pay tuition fees to get into college at this time. He thought he had to pay tuition fees because he had never attended college in his past life. Not only is there no tuition fee, but even accommodation is free. Moreover, each student can receive a living allowance of nearly 20 yuan per month. In these days, 1 kilogram of rice costs less than 20 cents, 1 kilogram of cabbage costs 2 cents, and 1 kilogram of pork costs about 90 cents. Replacing it with a meal ticket or a vegetable ticket, eating in a non-profit school cafeteria, offering a portion of rice for 10 cents, a portion of vegetarian food for 10 cents, and a portion of vegetarian food for 20 cents, which includes meat, saves about 20 yuan and is enough for a boy to eat for a whole month. If it were a girl who eats less and saves money, she might even save money on daily necessities such as laundry detergent, toothpaste, and soap over the course of a semester. However, there are also those who pay for their own education, known as high-paying students. That was in 1985 when the Ministry of Education introduced new regulations. A small number of self-funded students can be recruited from the candidates participating in the Unified College Entrance Examination, so that the national planned enrollment without fees and the regulated enrollment with fees can coexist. This later became known as the dual-track policy, which can also be considered as a way for the country to open up township collective units or even individual enterprises to entrust universities to cultivate talents, and provide more opportunities for candidates to attend universities. Of course, this kind of quota is not just about having money. In these years, universities are very proud, and even self-funded high-priced students have a score line. Your college entrance examination score, if it is even lower than the normal admission score line, the boss's score line cannot be reached. No matter how much money you make, it is useless. Don't be such a useless person. If such a person obtains our graduation certificate, it will be a complete disgrace to the school. Meng Qingshan's dormitory building 8 is exactly the same building as the previous one. His dormitory is 201 on the second floor. This will be the place where he will live in Fudan for 4 years. Pushing open the door of room 201, almost everyone in the dormitory has arrived. There are 4 upper and lower bunks on both sides of the dormitory against the wall, indicating that a dormitory should be full of 8 people. The students who arrived first inside saw Meng Qingshan coming in and warmly came over to take his bedding and help him get it into the dormitory. What surprised Meng Qingshan was that there were 4 upper and lower bunks in the dormitory, 3 of which were made of new steel, the kind welded with steel pipes and angle irons, and one was actually an old-fashioned wooden upper and lower bunk. And the first few classmates seemed to think that the steel one was more sturdy and stable. They had already occupied the steel bed, and this old-fashioned wooden one was actually useless. Meng Qingshan just saw it. There is also a parent in the dormitory who sends their child to report. This person is in his 50s and looks like someone from the system. The parent clapped their hands and said to everyone, "The Department of Economics at Fudan University is currently the most popular major, and you can be admitted. The results of the college entrance examination are definitely among the top in the country, and in the future, you elites will have to live in the same dormitory. I hope you can help each other together." Additionally, everyone comes from all over the country, and the customs and habits of each place are different. It is inevitable that there will be some friction and collisions when we are together. I hope everyone can understand each other and never cause conflicts. After listening to this parent's words, everyone quickly expressed that it was okay. Please rest assured, uncle. We will all be good brothers in the future. The parent also took advantage of the situation and instructed his son, Fu Chang, quickly share the apples we brought from our hometown with your roommate to taste. A slightly skinny student, who was about 1.7 meters tall, quickly opened his suitcase and took out a bag of apples to distribute to everyone. Everyone quickly declined, but in the end, when they couldn't push it off, they had to take one by themselves. Not to mention, with Uncle Fu's manipulation, these classmates in room 201 suddenly became closer and began to introduce themselves to each other. When Meng Qingshan introduced himself as a fisherman, the other students in the dormitory were all amazed. It turned out that only Meng Qingshan lived by the sea in the whole 201, and half of the others had not seen what the sea looked like. Meng Qingshan seemed to envy everyone living by the seaside and waved his hand, saying, "There's nothing to envy. When it comes to rowing and fishing, it's poetic and picturesque, but in fact, it's very dangerous to live on the sea. Accidentally, encountering sudden weather changes could lead to ship damage and fatalities. Even if there were no accidents, returning home would still be covered in a foul odor. Did you see me? I finished the college entrance examination and only went out to sea with my older brother to catch fish for a month, and then I was exposed to the sun like this black charcoal." Everyone found Meng Qingshan's self-deprecation amusing and asked him about fishing with a smile, which made him suddenly become familiar with these roommates. Fu Chang's father stayed in the dormitory for over half an hour before leaving. At this point, even if anyone had a little bit of money, it was impossible for the parent who was sending students to wave their hand and say, "Let's go. Uncle, please go out to a restaurant for a meal." It's not that people in these days are stingy, but rather that everyone's income is generally not high. I really can't afford to hire a group of middle-aged kids to go out to restaurants and eat seafood. A meal costs at least 30.50, and if not, the child's living expenses for 1 or 2 months will be gone. Moreover, even if parents invite students to eat, no one will go to eat. In these days and years, if students go to eat meals invited by others for no reason, they will be looked down upon by those around them. The 7 people in the dormitory escorted Uncle Fu out of the school gate, waved goodbye to him, and then returned to their 201 dormitory together. Returning to the dormitory, everyone was chatting casually with their peers. It was inevitable that anyone would say that on the welcoming bus he was taking, he saw a beautiful girl from an unknown class. He said he saw more than one beautiful girl on that train, if only one of them could be caught by him. Everyone is fortunate enough to have just emerged from the hard work of their senior year of high school. Now that they have finally safely crossed the single wooden bridge, they have all set themselves free and inevitably started talking about the topic they are most interested in at their age, women. End of this chapter.